It is Friday. You know what time it is. Front Runner Podcast Collective is back on the air. I am your humble host, Vince. And on today's podcast, we will be discussing the Celtics, the Boston Celtics. And we're going to talk about how there's no need for panic in the city that I used to be living in for 15 years, Boston. Because Brad Stevens, big brain on Brad, has got y'all locked down. And there's no worries to be coming from that area. We will tell you how Brad Stevens is going to navigate this year without Jason Tatum. And what he's looking for in the future. And what he's trying to do this year to kind of get ready for the 2026-2027 season. With the Celtics being in that situation and being in a situation where they are absolutely hampered by missing their number one guy, Jason Tatum, who are some other people that are going to step up? Which teams are going to step up? Which franchises are going to make their mark on this upcoming NBA season? Vegas has put out their odds. We will talk about the top 4 teams in those odds. As far as that's concerned, we will break those teams down, and we will go from there. And I will tell you right now, Detroit, don't come at me. Do not come at me. I'm going to tell you right now. Just because Vegas has you number 5, I think it actually, or were you 6? Were you behind Philadelphia? Which is kind of crazy. Kind of disrespectful, actually, to tell you the truth. But I'm only doing the top 4 today, as far as that's concerned. We will be getting in, once we get into August, we will be breaking down division by division, and we will start looking at all the teams. So everybody is going to be represented in this situation as we get into August and start locking in on what you've done with your teams over the summer and what to look forward to when we get into training camp. So we will be breaking down those 4 teams. And then there is a piece of breaking news that we need to talk about. And it's coming out of New Orleans. So we're going to start there. But before we do that and get into like the crux of the podcast, again, my absolute appreciation to the audience. What you guys are doing is giving me goosebumps. Can y'all see it? I can see it. I don't know if y'all can see it, but I can see it. Vietnam, yes, they're listening to the podcast. France is heavy now. They're like catching up to Germany as our biggest representative outside the United States. Germany is still first, but France is coming up. New Zealand, Australia, India is real big into us. Morocco, of all places. I was like, what is going on? North of the border of the North American continent, Canada has stepped in to the chat, basically. Thank you, Canada. Thank you for your patronage of our podcast. We really appreciate it. Need to talk about some of these other countries that are hitting us up. Chile, Bolivia, Argentina. It is amazing to me. Peru has entered also as well. We got to get our neighbors to the south of us. Mexico, what's up? I know y'all like basketball. I know you like football more. And I mean soccer when I mean football. But I just want to thank everybody for downloading the podcast, being a part of this. Basically what we're doing here is that this is for the love of hoops. This is for the love of basketball. This is for the love of the NBA. And I am glad to be on this journey with you folks. So, again, we talk about this all the time. Front Runner Podcast Collective comes on Tuesday and Fridays for your listening pleasure. We do not advertise like on Google. We don't push our podcast to the top. So when you go to search and you say NBA podcast or whatever, we don't pay for anything. Now, as we get bigger, maybe we will, to see if we can reach more folks or whatever. But right now, it's all come through word of mouth. So when I see countries like Vietnam show up, China show up, Japan show up, Laos show up, I mean, it is crazy to me. Singapore, for sure. I mean, it touches me. It touches me a great deal. I can't tell you how much I'm so appreciative of the love and support that we have received, and people continue to find the podcast. So, again, thank you. And now we can get into the pod. And we had talked about the New Orleans Pelicans. God, if they didn't have bad luck, they would not have any luck whatsoever. The rookie Derrick White, who they moved up from the 23rd overall selection to the 13th overall selection. Now, mind you, that when New Orleans did that, they actually gave up their 2026 first round pick for that. And people will say, well, hey, to get something, you have to give something. But everybody that I've talked to in the league was like, why would they do that? Because remember the stipulations on that particular pick. It's not just the Pelicans. Now, we're going to talk about this injury that happened to Derrick White in 1 second. But remember, the 2026 pick is not just conclusive on to New Orleans. No. If for some reason Milwaukee goes south, it is between the two of them. So it's whoever has the worst record out of both of them. That pick now belongs to someone else. And I'm doing it like, wow, what are we doing right now? And everybody around the league is saying, what are we doing? Even though you wanted to pick, I'm sure there could have been something else that could have been worked out, whether it was multiple seconds, maybe further futures first or whatever. But the thought process around the league is that New Orleans is not going to be good this upcoming season. And now, Derrick White, who was their first round pick, has a injury to his wrist that requires surgery, and he will be out for the next 12 weeks. So guess what? Yeah, he'll be able to do the cardio because he can definitely continue to run. It's a wrist injury. But the problem with that is that you're not getting shots up. You're not being able to work on your dribble package. You're not being able to work on the counters for the counters that maybe people saw in Summer League. So these things are going to put on an absolute halt. The other problem with this is that this is going to linger into the first part of the year. And it's also going to go through training camp. The big issue with that is that you want to build a foundation of cohesiveness. And how are you doing that without one of your main pieces that you got in the draft that you might have been depending upon at least for like 14 to 18 minutes a night, and now he's not there? And then he's got to ramp up, understand the playbook, understand what you're trying to run, understand his defensive assignments through the processes or what have you. He is going to be behind, and he's going to be in a forever game of catch up during his rookie regular season, and that does not sound like it's conducive to winning. So New Orleans, you better tread lightly. You better hope that Zion is fully healthy and that he's going to carry the mail for anywhere between 68 to 72 games. Trey Murphy III is an excellent talent. Zion Williamson is an excellent talent. The problem is that injuries. And I don't like what you have around those two guys right now, albeit it is young talent, very explosive talent. Jeremiah Fears looks awesome, looks quick, looks explosive. But you know who looked quick and explosive last year? Rob Dillingham. We were thinking that he was going to play a major part with the Minnesota Timberwolves, and we found out quickly that physicality, he didn't have any of it. And this is what we're walking into. So, big blow for the New Orleans Pelicans. I hope, first of all, our hearts go out to Derrick Queen. And, you know, having this injury sucks. Especially when you're trying to, you know, I mean, shoot, you want to get up shots, bro. You definitely want to get up shots at this time of year. And now we're waiting. But Derrick Queen is a good dude. He's a dog from what I hear out of that Baltimore and Maryland area. And if anybody is going to attack his rehab with reckless abandon, it will be Derrick Queen. Because we know how much he loves hoops. So, get well, my dude. Hopefully, the rehab is not as strenuous as I think it's going to be. And we just hope that a speedy recovery is on the table for you. But this is not how you want to start out the year if you're the New Orleans Pelicans. You need everything to go right. Everything. On to the rest of the podcast that we have scheduled for you, because we have some big thoughts on the Boston Celtics, and I want to get into that right now. So, again, we're also coming off the pretenses of the Celtics 1 year removed from their championship run, and yet they're in a full recalibration mode. 4 veterans are gone. They have a superstar on crutches. And the front office is spinning strategic calm under new ownership and a new CBA. But the tone isn't panic. It's patience. And this is Brad Stevens and the North Star Doctrine that he has cooked up for the Celtics. The Celtics are sitting on about $320,000 above the second apron as we speak right now. A sliver of cap space becomes a choke point on the roster strategy. Brad Stevens addressed this head on, and this is what he said. This is a quote that Soraya pulled. We are very comfortable with this group heading into next season, but make no mistake, this isn't contentment, this is calculation. The second apron restricts teams' building tools, no sign and trades, no mid-level exceptions, no buyout market. Go into the third year, and the penalties pile up even more. So Stevens moved early, sending Drew Holiday and Kristaps Porzingis away. Right? So Drew Holiday is in Portland as we speak. And it is that trade got them Anthony Simons, and we'll talk about him a little bit later. Kristaps Porzingis, they basically sold cheaply to the Atlanta Hawks. Kudos to the Atlanta Hawks for kind of pouncing on this situation. They needed a big that was like a rim running big, and also somebody who could do the pick and pop, and a guy who is 7'4" and he can protect the rim, provided that Kristaps Porzingis is healthy, and that's a big if. They allowed Luke Cornett to walk away. He's in San Antonio, and they're also saying goodbye to Al Horford. Now, Al Horford is still a free agent as we speak, but they basically closed the door on bringing Al Horford back. Not because he wanted to, it's because he had to. They know that the money is going to be a sticking point. And still, through all of it, Stevens insists that the biggest moves of the Celtics they can make isn't a trade, it's internal. Another quote from our girl Soraya: "The most important acquisition is getting Tatum out of the boot." He isn't wrong there. That's our North Star. It's not a metaphor, it's a mission. Tatum's is rehabbing daily. Jalen Brown is in the gym, and Derrick White is expected to carry the torch defensively. The vibes, surprisingly steady. What do you expect from the Boston Celtics? Brad Stevens has been running this organization for about 5 years now. And he's just been a model of consistency and success. He has really taken to this job. I did not know once he got it from Danny Ainge what this was really going to look like. But he has done an outstanding job just captaining this team through all of the angst and can they win the big one and all these things. Listen, they turned it into a math problem. You know, Joe Mazzulla came in after the exodus of Ime Udoka. That thing got completely swept on the rug, and also we got him smooth out of the paint. There's a new owner in town. His name is Bill Chisholm. His ownership group is taking over for the Grosbecks. And now remember, the Grosbecks, as far as Wick is concerned, he did not want to sell. It was his dad who wanted to sell. And the reason for it is because the elder Grosbeck is 91 years of age, and he wanted to have his estate pretty much cleared up for any situations where, you know, he's going on to that afterlife. So that was really the genesis of the trade. Bill Chisholm walks in, pays $6 billion for the squad, and mind you, $6 billion, and the Boston Celtics do not own their own arena. So at some point, I would expect that there'll be a new arena somewhere in Boston, maybe near the Bay. That might be real nice. I remember when I first got to Boston and they were talking about building the new Fenway Park, and it was going to be by the Bay. Could you imagine if the Celtics get there first? Now this is like, what? God, it's almost 24 years ago. The new ownership is also pushing patience over panic philosophy. Stevens says explicitly that they won't sacrifice draft capital to save dollars. Simons and Niang, who are kind of like the new kids on the block, so to speak, for the Boston Celtics, they might be the first ones to go, and we'll get into that a little bit later. But I would look for a couple more trades of cost-cutting matters because of the fact that they're definitely going to get underneath that second apron, if not the first apron. Let's get into a little Anthony Simons talk. Anthony Simons is 26 years old. He's had 3 straight seasons of 20 plus points per game. He's a shot creator, a pull-up threat, but Portland didn't ask him to defend at all. And it showed. Brad is betting on the upside, not the completeness. Now, Niang is coming in, and he's a rotational guy. He was in Philly, and he's been in Cleveland. He's been a lot of places. He's kind of a stretch 4 with a motor. He also has a little dog in him. You know what I'm saying? He's not going to back down from anybody. He's not really going to take a lot of shit from anybody as well. Not built for switches, but he competes. Brad called him a pain to play against. High praise from a guy like Stevens. They also added Luka Garza, a guy who was in Minnesota, Monat, and Neemias Queta is back with the green. These aren't throwaway signings. These are post-apron lottery tickets. Brad has been on one or two of these guys who might pop. One good thing about Brad Stevens is that he has an eye for this type of thing. And again, if there was, other than Sam Presti, really it's only Sam Presti. Like, I like what Kobe Altman's done there, but I really like that Brad Stevens has had a lineage of winning through all the moves he's made. He's been aggressive when he could. He knows when to take his foot off the accelerator. And the thing that I don't understand with Brad Stevens is that you don't hear a lot of love for him. We talk, and it's my fault. So we talk about Sam Presti all the time on this podcast, but we should look east and give some love to Brad Stevens and the job that his front office and his staff has done about recognizing talent, being aggressive when they can make a trade, and being very nimble and flexible with their philosophy. It's not like what's the word I'm looking for? It's not like they are not have a foundation. They definitely have a foundation. And that foundation lies in Jason Tatum and Jalen Brown. But knowing what parts to pick up when they need them. Like that Drew Holiday trade was just amazing when they did that. I'm not talking about the one where he went back to Portland. I'm talking about when he came from Portland to Boston. Like, Milwaukee didn't see that coming. Now Tatum is working every day. So at the end of the day, we know that he's going to try to be back as soon as he can. My whole thing is that the Achilles injury is not like an ACL. It's not like a PCL or MCL. The Achilles is one of those injuries that you must take seriously. And I would be more on the cautious side when it came to Jason Tatum, knowing that you don't want to miss prime years like we're in right now with Jason, but giving him that extra little 3 to 4 months rest if you don't play him, when it comes to the postseason, I think personally would be a great idea, and it was something that the Boston Celtics should really, really look into. The one thing that I like about Stevens, he said this: he doesn't say rebuild, he says build. He doesn't use the word reset. He talks about retooling at the highest level. There's an art to the front office transparency. Say too much, you tank morale. Say too little, your fans think you have checked out. Steven walks that line with steady feet and nimbleness. He's borrowing from Danny Ainge, who was there for a long period of time. He's shielding ownership pressure, and he's more than anything than making sure the guys in the locker room know that this isn't a lost year. It's just the in-between to the next phase of complete dominance by the Boston Celtics. Well, at least our guy Brad Stevens thinks so. Because when Tatum comes back, the picks are still here. When you avoided panic spending, you're ready to go. This is what Brad Stevens and the North Star Doctrine is all about. The message isn't loud, it isn't fast, but it's focused. Stevens isn't chasing headlines, he's building towards the horizon. The Boston Celtics fans can stomach the stillness. They might just wake up with another title window. And that is what Brad Stevens is trying to get to, trying to navigate through this year about. He is trying to navigate, okay, I have a devastating injury. Our cap situation was perilous, and we knew we were going to have to pivot at some point anyway. Here's the best time to go ahead and do that. Yeah, it sucks that we're doing this to Jalen Brown, but they're a dynamic duo, and Jalen Brown doing it solo dolo on his own is not going to get us the success that we really are looking for. So at the end of the day, this is where we are as a Celtics team. So let's go ahead and move forward. And what can we do? How can we take advantage of situations? And how big do we want to swing? I don't think they're necessarily going to tank. I'm going to get into some of the things that might be on the table for them momentarily. But I think what you're going to see is, hey, is Pritchard really that dude? You know, we just paid him. Is he really that dude? What other things can we get out of some of the young players and some of our, like, Sam Hausers of the world? If there are trades to be made, right, which we do believe so, and I'm telling you right now, I have it on good authority that Boston is not done before training camp opens up. Now, I don't know if they're going to necessarily do something within the next couple weeks, or will they wait until closer to training camp opening up, which is in like mid to late September. I would think that it will probably be done within the next couple weeks as the landscape of the NBA starts to change. So let's get into some of their options. The easiest moves to make would to be trade Anthony Simons or George Niang. Now, Anthony Simons, you're going to have to look for a particular spot for him. He's going to be a little bit harder to move simply because Anthony Simons is owed $27.7 million this year. How you can spin this into your own advantage is that it's an expiring contract. So Brad Stevens is sitting on $27.7 million. And for some teams who are being cap savvy, this is what we are hearing from the Lakers, Project 2027 and all this other stuff. Not saying Lakers are going to move on Anthony Simons. They have too many guards to begin with. That's why Bradley Beal is playing for the Clippers instead of the Lakers. But Anthony Simons is making $27.7 million. And if you were trying to shave some money, this might be a good way of doing it. What could you get back in return? Let's think about this. I talked to a couple scouts. I talked to a couple people who are in the buildings of some of the Eastern Conference and Western Conference and what they thought of our guy Anthony Simons. And the prevailing thought was this, is that because he's an expiring contract and because he gets buckets, he'll have interest from playoff teams lacking shot creation. That used to be Orlando. It might still be Orlando, but I don't know if they're needing to move off money right now. We'll see. There are some defensive liabilities when it comes to Anthony Simons. So the salary size means contender return likely limited, protected picks, salary matching young player, or cap flexibility for a tax team. So what you're looking for, it all depends on what you're looking for with Anthony Simons. Are you looking for draft assets? Are you looking for a young player that maybe might not be getting the opportunity at his current location? Or are you looking for solid $12 to $18 million contracts and maybe shave some money off the back end of that and then move along? Because here's the thing. If you can find somebody, especially if you're looking at, let's say, after December 15th, because we all know what that means. The people who sign contracts over the summer, they'll be eligible for trade December 15th. So, if you signed a mid-level exception, which is going to be anywhere between $14.7 million to $15.4 million, if I'm not mistaken, that will be able to give you some cap flexibility. That puts you underneath the second apron, and that is something that the Celtics are desperately looking for. Now, the market reality on our guy Anthony Simons is that no premium assets unless it's a bad contract swap. Like, I don't know if the Celtics are into that. Teams who are wanting like a 1-year audition, not a foundational ad. There are teams out there who are looking for shot creation. I wonder if Minnesota takes a leap onto Anthony Simons. You know, there's a candidate for you. Is there something in the water in Denver? Maybe not, but, you know, we throw names out. I know Sacramento's trying to do something. I don't know what they're trying to do, but they're trying to do something. And we'll see what that's all about. But I know one thing. Boston has no desire, and I repeat, no desire for Zach LaVine. They are not interested. Okay? 0.0 on that guy. Could Phoenix get involved? Because they seem to not care about money, but yes, they do. They are starting to care. Why do you think they did the Bradley Beal thing when they went and waived and stretched him? Because they needed to get under that second apron. Even Matt Ishbia is starting to succumb to what I'll call, they won't call it this, but I'll call it this. It's a hard cap. The new CBA, you can call it whatever you want, second apron, all these things. Here's what it is. It is a proverbial hard cap. You're too restricted. There's not much you can do. And all of the little penalties are so punitive that at some point you just succumb to the pressure and go, I got to get out of this. Because we won't be able to do anything if we don't get off of this second apron. So our guy Brad Stevens said, hey, we gonna beat this to the punch. Let's go ahead and start shaving off money here and there and start getting ourselves together, right? For our guy George Niang, he's going to be a little bit easier to move. You're talking about $8.2 million of expiring contract. That is just beautiful, beautiful cap management right there. And I think this will be the piece that might move first. I think it'll be very easy to get off George Niang. Can you maybe get a young player who might be struggling in another area? Maybe Brad Stevens saw him in a previous draft, thought he was a good Celtic or whatever, wasn't able to get him because maybe they were drafting too low, and he said, always like this kid, and he gets him, and then he's saving some money along the way. Because remember, they're only $320,000 over the second apron right now. So if you got a young player, let's say that guy is making about $5 to $6 million, George Niang is making 8.2. Now you're underneath that second apron, and now you can start breathing a little bit easier, and then you can see what you can do as far as the Anthony Simons situation. Notice that I have not talked about Sam Hauser. Notice that. There's a reason for it, and we'll get into it momentarily. A little bit more about George Niang. What another team will be looking for, he's a stretch shooting 4, which is valued all across the league. Does he have defensive limitations? Yes, he does. Playoff exposure means return is roster filler or late second rounder. He might be used as salary blast as in a larger deal. He fits a deadline ad for a playoff team, especially if you're looking for somebody who's going to fill that 8th or 9th man in the rotation. If you're just trying to beef up, basically have a little bit more options is concerned. And if you have 12 minutes of George Niang and he gets hot, can win you a couple ball games here and there. So the Simons Niang package could be met with a late first, early second, salary relief, or a reclamation project. So that's what you're looking for. Do not expect a needle moving upside on their own. Most probable return is luxury tax savings, a fringe rotation big, and unprotected second rounders. If you want to get real froggy, if you want to get real spicy, look no further than changing out some of the core. It has been long rumored, it has been long thought of that if somebody was going to leave Boston, it would be Jalen Brown. Brad Stevens has said on the record, I have no desire to trade Jalen Brown. I'm going to bring up a statement I said in our last pod. You are only as loyal as your options. And I'm going to tell you right now, if there was a young player coming back that had high upside potential, or if somebody was about to break you off a true lottery pick, something very like minimally protected or what have you, I think the Celtics might jump all over that. But it's not going to be easy to trade Jalen Brown. 3 reasons. 1, they don't have like the desire to do so. So whatever is going to come back to Boston, it would have to absolutely blow them out of the water. I want to make that perfectly clear. Brad Stevens is not looking to trade Jalen Brown. But if there was a trade to be made, let's say there was multiple first round picks, maybe a young guy with a ton of upside, who knows? You know, are you in the Ease Messi deal? Are you in the Ease Messi collective? Could the damn Miami Heat get Jalen Brown with like Kel'el Ware? You imagine Kel'el Ware and a couple first rounders going to Boston, and Jalen Brown going down to Miami to the 305. Whoo-wee. Shudder to think. I know Boston people don't want to think that because they have been trying to rid themselves of the Miami Heat and that voodoo that they use down there that seems to cost Boston all kinds of shenanigans, all kinds of misery. Now, what somebody would be getting if they got Jalen Brown, a primary scorer with playoff experience beyond. Also, somebody who is still 28 years of age. All NBA history. He's not a proven hub of offense, though, or a true alpha. He works in tandem with Tatum. We're about to find out how good he is without Tatum. He can show and prove this year how good he is without Jason Tatum. So now, if you get the overwhelming deal, now I'll tell you another team that I would look out for. And this is the team that would absolutely scare me if I was a Boston Celtics fan. Look out for the Houston Rockets. Houston did not give up a lot to get Kevin Durant. And now they still got a bunch of young players with pretty good salaries that if you were getting a Jalen Brown back and you gave a Reed Shepard, Atari Eason, I'm sure the Celtics would ask for Amen Thompson and Houston would completely shut that down. Like completely shut that down. They'd be like, hell to the no. You are not getting Amen Thompson. But, you know, a couple first rounders and some young players with some upside. Because one thing that the Boston Celtics need to make sure that they do with this year, if you want to call it like a sabbatical or a hiatus, you want to make sure that you get some young legs in the building and you start boosting up your depth that you lost over the last couple years with some win now moves like the Drew Holiday deal and what have you. I will say this again. We have still not talked about Sam Hauser. I'm going to say this one more time. I'm not saying that it will happen. There's two things with this. Trading Brown signals a soft reset. Expect 1 to 2 down years, but asset war chest upon Tatum's return sounds real tasty. Again, I'm not saying it's going to happen, but if traded, the demand would be a starter back, a near all-star talent, or a guy who has the upside to get there, and multiple picks. Anything less would be a loss for the franchise credibility. It will take a monumental deal to get Jalen Brown out of Boston. Okay? I do not expect that to happen, but the team that I would really worry about if I was a Celtics fan would be the Houston Rockets. And how aggressive do they want to get? These are still questions that need to be answered, and we got a whole month and some change to go. Right? It's almost, damn near 2 months at this point. If you wanted to get a little bit, I personally would never want to do this. But if you wanted to say, okay, we're not going to trade Jalen Brown, well, we can get probably a pretty good return for this other guy. Would you have any thoughts of trading Derrick White? He is an all defensive guard. He's a two-way glue guy that drives culture. This is why you do not get rid of Derrick White. He is a all defensive guard. Two-way glue guy. So he's going to knock down shots, and he's going to guard your best dude. And guess what? He's a rim protector at 6'3", which is crazy. And a good culture dude. That's mean he don't sit there and be like, hey, listen, I'm going to need to take about 20 shots. I need to start boosting up my offensive productivity for my next contract. He's a guy that gets in where he fits in, if you know what I'm saying. He's undervalued by the casuals. Elite teams covet White. Let me tell you something. There's so many teams that would love Derrick White on their squad right now. He could fetch a lottery pick, a premium young player from a contender easily. Possible returns if you were to trade a Derrick White, guarantee one first, if not multiple. Usually with the multiple, you'll get protections on those, so we don't know how good those would be, but you're getting one unprotected first out of that deal, or you're not doing it. You will get a rotation-ready young player, or a complete overpay by a desperate team. Now, there are a couple out there, so we'll talk about those in a second. Trading White creates a leadership culture void. Only move him if you're overwhelmed by the offer or you're committing to a youth movement. They're not committing to a youth movement because they got Jason Tatum and they have Jalen Brown. But if they were overwhelmed, again, there are a couple teams out here that if you were looking to get a little like, hey, what do you want to do? Do I want to change up my squad a little bit? Is there a way for me to do that? I'll throw something out there. Detroit, you were worried that you weren't going to get talked about in this podcast, correct? The Pistons fans out there, y'all were worried that you were not going to get talked about in this podcast? Could you imagine Derrick White in a Pistons uniform and Jaden Ivey, who would be kind of like a miniature version of Jalen Brown? A 6-foot version of Jalen Brown. Super duper athletic, super duper raw. No, not raw. I would say unrefined game. But the defensive capabilities or upside on one Jaden Ivey, tremendous. And if you're getting Derrick White and Pistons, you're going like, well, what does this look like? Well, you're getting Cade somebody who can actually go, okay, like that is a rock solid dude. He's going to give us something on the defensive end for sure. And he's just going to be a steadying force in our locker room. Remember, Derrick White is a culture guy. And if Detroit was looking to really get into that mix of the Knicks, Cleveland, Atlanta, Orlando, which are the top 4 teams that Vegas has picked out, not in that particular order, I'm just saying. But if they were looking to do something, Derrick White would be the type of guy that you would do it for. And could you get something where it's Jaden Ivey and Isaiah Stewart and maybe a protected first round pick for Derrick White? Does Boston even listen to that? You bet your ass that Brad Stevens would listen to that. Okay? That is getting a big that can come off the bench and provide defensive rim protection, provide that edge that you always are looking for. And then Jaden Ivey is that upside play where, hey, if you wanted to move on from Jalen Brown in the next couple of years and you wanted to make sure that Jaden Ivey was set with Jason Tatum, you reset your timeline with a situation like that. And again, for the aggregators out there who will sit there and have this up on Hoops Hype, I am not saying that this is in the mix. I am just throwing out analogies and suggestions that might be out there if there was a situation where Derrick White hit the trade market. Okay? So before you get so super crazy and start going into the trade machine and start typing in Derrick White to the Detroit Pistons and then putting it all over Twitter and talking about how I made this trade up. Well, first of all, you heard it from me first. Second of all, if you're doing something like that, don't aggregate me. Just letting you know. We are going to show some love to Brad Stevens right now, because I just want to roll this out there for the people. Because again, we talk about Sam Presti on this podcast a lot. We talk about how he built that team, how he's done such an incredible job. Another guy who deserves flowers is Brad Stevens. Now, 21-22 was his first year as the president of player personnel for the Boston Celtics, taking over for Danny Ainge, who then went on to Utah. He was the finals runner-up. He had a top 2 defense, massive turnaround from a late start. Remember, that was the Ime Udoka one and only season. They got off to a really rough start. They were like at 500, I want to say around January 3rd of that 2022. And then they took off like a absolute missile. And they made a finals run. 2022, 2023. That is we went through the Ime Udoka scandal. We had a young coach on the bench by the name of Joe Mazzulla, who we were really worried about. Was this guy going to be able to manifest this team to its destiny? But with a rookie coach, a lot of kind of unstabilizing situations going on, the Boston Celtics reached the Eastern Conference Finals and pushed a Game 7. They had the best net rating in the league, consistent top 2 in the East, and this is the second year of Brad Stevens being at the helm. Now in 2023-2024, the Celtics are the NBA champions. They have 64 wins. Strength of schedule is off the charts. They're number 1 in that, number 1 in offense, and they sustain elite defense. So what do you do for an encore, right? Do you become a fat cat, whatever? No, not the Celtics. Last year, 2024-2025, 61 wins. Number 3 net rating. They lost in the East semis, but the reason why, Jason Tatum tears his Achilles. We don't think that if Jason Tatum was there, we think that the Celtics are on their way at least to the Eastern Conference Finals, if not the finals. What does this all add up to? So under the Brad Stevens regime, the average record, 60.75 wins per year. Net rating, top 3 every year. That means they are getting buckets. Offensive rating, never below 2 since 2022. And their defense was top 5 every single year. By the way, that is the consensus winning formula. A top 10 offense, a top 10 defense basically means that almost walks you into the finals all by itself. Now, if you get a top 5, you're guaranteed. It's kind of like having a 770 credit score. You know what I'm saying? It's like, what kind of house you want? You want this $3 million house? Sure, we can get you that because you have a 770 credit score or 800 credit score. You got 800 credit score, man. There's nothing this world won't open up for you. You know what I'm saying? Again, he's acquired and extended key pieces, i.e., Drew Holiday, Kristaps Porzingis, Derrick White, and Sam Hauser. Remember, we never mentioned Sam Hauser in any of those deals, and I'm going to tell you right now, from my sources back east, Sam Hauser is one of those pieces that, albeit he might be the 6th man or 7th man or whatever the case may be, they find him to be absolutely critical to what they do. They love that guy, and they don't have any thoughts of trading him. They will resist vigorously to trade Sam Hauser. And the thing that I love about Brad Stevens is that, okay, Joe Mazzulla wants to play a certain style. The roster identity and the roster profile that Stevens has built for Joe Mazzulla, it's been like a match made in heaven. Elite shooting, two-way wings, versatile defenders. That's what they got all over the team. They've integrated rookies such as Peyton Pritchard. Now Jordan Walsh hasn't got that love really yet. We'll see what he looks like this year. They've avoided overpays, i.e. Sam Hauser and Peyton Pritchard, but now must navigate this post-title apron squeeze, which they will, because Brad Stevens is a GOAT when it comes to these type of things. Team building when it comes to your pillar franchises is really hard because there's such an expectation. There's such a level of like standard. Like our guy Mike Tomlin of the Pittsburgh Steelers would say, the standard is the standard. Well, in Boston, the standard is the damn standard. We are trying to win championships. We got 18 of them, and that's not enough for us. We looking for 19. Okay? We a greedy franchise. Boston fans want that championship. Do not think of anything else but looking for a ring. But our guy Brad Stevens has been an elite team builder since he got there. He's been proactive with his instincts, never resting on his laurels. Title to major retool in one summer. Are you kidding me? Again, it talks about his nimbleness of what is going on right in front of him. He's a realist, but also always looking to gain that edge at all times. When they needed a rim protector and a little more defense, what did they go out and do? They went out and they bought high on Kristaps Porzingis and Drew Holiday. He knows to strike when the iron's hot. And he keeps enough chips in the coffers so when the moves are coming, he can be the first one to jump on it. Now, is he facing his biggest test as a talent evaluator and a decision maker this year? 100%. But other than Sam Presti, I would not want anybody else doing this for the Celtics other than Brad Stevens. You know what I'm saying? I respect my guy John Horst in Milwaukee, Jeff Weltman in Orlando. I respect that dude, no doubt. Michael Winger in Washington, he was also part of the Clippers. I respect him as well. But Brad Stevens and Sam Presti, to me, are the gold standard. You can talk about Daryl Morey. You can talk about Leon Rose in New York. But Brad Stevens has been doing it. And he's been doing it at such an elite level. It's hard to question anything that he does at this point. More times than not, it will be Simons and Niang leaving before, obviously, Jalen Brown and Derrick White. Again, what it would take for Jalen Brown or Derrick White to move would be, if it's Jalen Brown, it would be like a guy who is entering that phase of all-star. And if it was Derrick White, it would be a young upside guy who would be able to team with Tatum and bring Tatum into his mid-30s. And then that guy would take over basically for Tatum. So that would be, i.e., like a Jaden Ivey type of guy or what have you. And again, if Jalen Brown was going to move anywhere, I would tell you, look out for Houston. And again, I'm not saying that this is going to happen. I am just telling you they are the team most equipped to go and take and get a Jalen Brown from the Boston Celtics. They have the pieces. If they have the picks, they can get it done. I'm going to get aggregated for this. I know for sure. And then people are going to be calling me going like, did you put out a trade out there for Jalen Brown going to Houston? I'm like, no. Listen to the pod. Listen to the damn pod. I had one exec that I talked to. This is what he said about Brad Stevens. He's an elite talent evaluator and decision maker at the highest level. By any metric, championships, regular season, playoff wins, and talent optimization, he is top tier. Well, we got to find out how top tier he is, because this is his biggest challenge yet. He has to balance the books. He has to keep the roster morale high, and he needs to have asset preservation on his mind with Tatum coming back off the Achilles. Brad has built a modern winning program. Now it's about not panicking, playing the long game, using the apron rules to your advantage, maximizing the youth development that you've already started with Peyton Pritchard and our guy Sam Hauser, and pounce when the market shifts. That's the move of a top front office maker. With Boston not being one of the top teams that are about to challenge for this title, who are the teams that we need to look at? Well, let's look at them. Vegas got odds out. ESPN got odds out. They're telling us certain things. So let's look at it. The Cleveland Cavaliers are one of your usual suspects. They are coming off a year where they won 64 games. Albeit, they had tremendous injuries that happened to them again. Darius Garland had turf toe, which usually turf toe is for more like football players and baseball players before it is a basketball player. So it's weird that he got that, but he just had surgery. Shouts out to our guy. Hopefully he's going to be well. And what we have heard is that he is going to miss a partial of the regular season going into next year. Turf toe is devastating. Deion Sanders, when he was playing football, had turf toe. And he said that it was trying to walk on it was absolutely unbearable. Trying to push off of it or pivot off of it was absolutely just not happening. You lost balance, lost control. I hope our guy Darius Garland is healing up, recuperating well. But the Cavs, they're good, man. You know what I'm saying? They are good. Don't worry about them. You know, you got Donovan Mitchell out here. You got Evan Mobley. You got Jared Allen. You got our guy Sam Morrell. So they're gonna. Max Strus is still in the building. And then they did something really savvy. They traded for our guy Lonzo Ball. Lonzo Ball is going to help out immensely. You know what I'm saying? He's a connector. If he can be healthy and give them 18 minutes a game, it will be absolutely monumental for this team. Now, the concerns with the Cavs are playoff based only. Can Mitchell create against top tier playoff defenses without Garland? He ain't gonna have to worry about that. Garland will be back before then. You saw the difficulties in this playoff season that just passed. Without Garland there, Mitchell was very regular. He looked like a regular dude. And that's not what you want. Not when you're paying him all that money. You would hope that he would rise above. You would hope that, okay, yes, our other real big piece to our core is out, but Donovan Mitchell can help us get to the promised land, or try to get us to the promised land. He went out with a whimper. So we're hoping for better situations for our guy Donovan Mitchell. Garland, the last 3 years, man, there have been injuries. And now I'm starting to wonder, are we hitting that era or that area of like, are you always injured? And I'm not, and listen, this is no shade to him. Darius Garland is a 6'1", 6'2" point guard who was barely about 180 pounds. Remember, not last year, but the year before, prior, he had his jaw broken and he had to eat through a straw, and he lost like 25 pounds. So he was playing basketball at an elite level at 155 pounds. There was no way he was going to be effective under those circumstances. But there have been injuries, and they seem to have started to compile up. And if you're starting to stacking injuries on top of injuries or what have you, I hate to use this word, but is Darius Garland becoming a health gamble? Toe surgery clouds early season. Now, with Lonzo Ball being there, that helps a little bit, but he has his own injury concerns. But their core, their buy-in and their flexibility, big or small, pace or half court, make them a true contender. Because, hey, Evan Mobley is still in the building. DeAndre Hunter is still in the building. Jared Allen is still in the building. So they'll still be a very formidable team in the regular season, no doubt, with or without Garland. I think they have enough ammunition to go ahead and compete when it comes to the regular season. My questions when it comes to the Cleveland Cavaliers is, in the playoffs, after the 82 games, are your is your tread on your tires thin? Or is it still very, okay, we got a lot of grip to the road? And the question continues to linger about two things. The funny part about it is we don't even need to talk about Evan Mobley anymore, because we found out he's ready. He's ready to be that dude. The questions now are on, obviously, Darius Garland's health. And a person I never thought I would be talking about questioning be Jared Allen. Jared Allen is going to have to step up, be more physical, be that, not just the rim protector, but have that, like, that nasty in him. Now, Jared Allen is an intellectual, okay? Jared Allen loves to read. He's a voracious reader. He's kind of he's an anomaly in the league, and Some would question his dedication. I would not. I'm not that guy. I just think that he is a different type of cat. But you're going to have to show us, Jared, that when push comes to shove, you won't get pushed around. The last couple years, you've been pushed around. And you can sit there and say, well, hold on, you're being critical of me. Do you know what you're talking about? Yes, I do. Yes, I do. I've seen it the last 2 years. There were rumors at the end of last year. Cavaliers got bullied. We get through the 2024-2025 season, and we're still talking about, hey, how tough is the interior of the Cleveland Cavaliers, and no one's looking at Evan Mobley. So it's directly on you, my guy, J.A. So can you bring up the physicality? We know you have the greatest fro in the NBA right now. You could definitely be one of the backups on the Jackson 5 back in the day. Okay? That fro is amazing. You are 7 feet tall, but with the fro, you are 7'5". But I'm going to need the fro or you to have some more physicality, so when people come to that paint, they're a little leery. And if you can bring that, that will help your team immensely, my guy. Again, when we talk about the Cleveland Cavaliers, we're not talking about the regular season. We believe that they'll win a ton of games, even without Darius Garland early on in the season. They have too many answers. I believe Mobley can score. You got Donovan Mitchell. Max Strus can get hot. Lonzo Ball is a complete connector. Our guy Sam Morrell loves to score the basketball. There's enough there to keep them afloat. I ain't even talking about my guy DeAndre Hunter. Basically, we're looking at a really good situation with them. It will be about the playoffs. We need to get to the squad. Okay? We need to get to... Whew, I can't wait till we get here. Yes, sir. Let's talk about it. The Knicks got a new coach, Mike Brown. I don't know. We'll see. They still got a loaded roster. The Knicks are second in the East odds for good reason. Jalen Brunson is an absolute dog. 6 foot, fire, just looked like a fire hydrant. But he is a playoff shot maker at the highest level. Our guy, Mikal Bridges and OG Anunoby, provide the wing depth, the wing defense, the point of attack defense that you need. Josh Hart is a rebounding idiot. And I mean that in the warmest way possible. There's no way that a 6'4" guard should be getting like 8-9 boards a game. But Josh Hart is out there putting his body on the line every single moment he is out there. And let me tell you something. When Coach Thibodeau was on that bench, Josh Hart was out there for like 46 minutes out of 48. He did not believe in a bench. I guess it was against Tom Thibodeau's religion. He was like, we play the starters. That's what we play. We don't play no bench dudes. We don't care about them. We only care about the starters. And if you start for me, be prepared to go the full boat. Now we hope for change. Okay, we hope for some bench utilization. We hope for our guys getting a blow every once in a while. Pause. I know y'all out there. Nope, y'all not doing it to me. But we do hope for a little more rest for Jalen Brunson, OG Anunoby, Mikal Bridges, Karl Anthony Towns, and absolutely Josh Hart. I thought Josh Hart was going to die at some points last year. New coach Mike Brown inherits a locker room that's still adjusting to Karl Anthony Towns, with questions about leadership and hierarchy. If roles aren't clear early, or if Towns doesn't commit to the defensive end, internal friction could resurface. On the floor, the roster versatility is real. Defensive lineups with Bridges, OG Anunoby, and Josh Hart can suffocate opponents. Brunson is a battle-tested G and certified stud. Okay? Karl Anthony Towns scored a bunch of points in the playoffs. He looked amazing. There were still some of those crazy cat plays. Y'all know what I'm talking about. Where we kind of going like, what you doing? What are you doing right now? But there were less of them. So I couldn't get super crazy about it. They also brought in Jordan Clarkson, who's a microwave scorer off the bench. Our guy Deuce McBride really provided some scoring and also some defensive versatility when he was out there. Shouts out to our guy Deuce McBride. You know how much we love him. He's one of Front Runner Podcast Collective favorites. Ever since he was at West Virginia. Bob Huggins guy. You know what I'm saying? Love Deuce McBride. The question is less about the talent and more about the buy-in. And here's the thing. Mike Brown is a tryhard. And what I mean by that is that there's a lot of effort. There's a lot of, you see him moving, grooving, and all these type of things. But Mike Brown, everywhere he's gone, he's really worn out his welcome. Now, I will not speak about the Sacramento situation because I think that if Mike Brown is there, De'Aaron Fox is still there, and that team is mostly intact instead of looking like the West Coast version of the Chicago Bulls. If you're going to be there, you're not going to be sitting here and having these dudes be practicing during the regular season. Okay? You are not doing that. Mike, I'm telling you right now, don't be like the reverse Tibbs. Like, we're going to run them in practice and then they go play games and then we're going to practice. Like, you can't have back-to-backs and then have a practice. Okay? That's a quick way to lose your squad, my guy. Don't do it. This is a more veteran team. There's not a lot of young cats on this team. There's a lot of veterans who's had a lot of playoff experiences and what have you. They've seen some shit in the NBA. They don't need you to come in and be some sort of Tony Robbins type of dude. They need you to be a coach, understand like, hey, we need to take a blow here. We need to get a real rest here, what have you. Can you understand that? Mike Brown should say, yes, I do understand. Let's make sure we get you some rest. Nah, don't worry about it. It's only a shoot around, no practice today, whatever. Get your therapy in, get your recovery in, and then we'll see you at the game. We'll do a lot of video work, whatever the case may be, to get everybody caught up to speed. Because remember, they've been with Tibbs for the last 2 years. They have been rolled into the ground. They need respite. They need a tree to shelter them. Mike Brown, can you be that tree for the New York Knicks? I hope so. Here's a stat from Soraya. In the 2025 playoffs, lineups with Bridges, OG Anunoby, and Jalen Brunson had a positive 12.8 net rating across 250 plus minutes. You know what that means? That means that they have a serious playoff core. And if you don't get them early, you're going to get got. Brunson is an absolute killer. Like, there are no questions about Jalen Brunson and his shot creation and how he can get to his shot, and there's nothing you could do about it. Now, here's the question that I have. Can Mike Brown create a third closer to help Jalen Brunson and Karl Anthony Towns? I do have a nominee. I'm going to raise my hand now and give you my nominee. Can we see OG Anunoby or Mikal Bridges, one of the two, be that third closer, be that third guy that's getting like 18 to 20 points a game? They both have the talent to do so. Can Jalen Brunson get off get off ball just a little bit more to help those guys out. That's what Mike Brown hopefully is come in to do, is to make sure that he empowers either Mikal Bridges or OG Anunoby. I personally like OG Anunoby a little bit more. If I was going to give the keys to the kingdom as far as like the third like captain of the ship, it would be OG Anunoby. Again, they did add Jordan Clarkson to the team. That's going to help. They also got our guy Gershon Yabusele from the 76ers. He's going to be a lot of fun in Madison Square Garden. The strength of the team obviously is Brunson. The defense is obviously going to come from Bridges and OG Anunoby, and to a lesser extent Deuce McBride. But also, here's the other person that needs to get some love. Mitchell Robinson. The one thing about it is that he was out for most of the year, and he came back, and you saw immediately he paid dividends. Anytime he was on the court, they looked better. They had awesome rim protection. He was grabbing every rebound he possibly could that Josh Hart did not get. You know what I'm saying? So I like the Knicks a lot. I think personally, if I was going to pick between the two, I like the Knicks a little bit more, but I do question the coaching situation that has changed over. It's not that I think Tibbs should still be there. Well, it depends on who you talk to. But I can see his style kind of grading on the players. But I don't know if you replace Tibbs with Mike Brown. That was a questionable situation. Well, we'll see how it all works. What keeps me up at night about the Knicks? Chemistry. It's a hidden variable, and with Mike Brown's arrival, can he fix it? Or will he let Towns' presence and new roles unsettle the room? There needs to be a third guy that they can automatically say, this guy is going to get us 18 to 22 points. They need to find that guy and empower him immediately. That should be basically what the first half of the season should all be about. Can we cultivate the third guy? So then when we get to the playoffs, we're not sitting there wondering like, okay, which one of them is going to show up tonight? Is it going to be OG? Is it going to be Mikal Bridges? No, you need to know before you get to the playoffs. You need to know. So finding that third closer is monumentally important. Now, the other thing that needs to happen, the utilization of the bench. I know it's crazy, New York City, but you're gonna see 3 to 4. You're gonna see at least 3 dudes that are gonna be playing like somewhere in between 14 to 18 minutes. It will be absolutely shocking to your system to see OG Anunoby sitting on the bench for more than 30 seconds at a time. It will be absolutely outstanding to see Mikal Bridges sitting on the bench, having a little Gatorade, chopping it up with the fellas for a second. Maybe also getting a little video tutelage from one of the guys behind the bench or whatever the case may be. This is all going to be new to New York Knicks fans. It's going to be super new to y'all. Because Tibbs was like, no. You get 1 gulp of water. You can towel off some of the perspiration that you have on your body. But your ass is going back in within a minute. Okay? I cannot have you on this bench. We pay you a lot of money to play basketball. So go play. When you're talking about the starters with the Knicks, you're talking about one of the deepest, the most adaptable defenses in the Eastern Conference. They have a true floor general in Brunson. The next 100 days are about building the buy-in, getting Towns to commit to the defensive side of the ball. Having Mitchell Robinson the entire year is going to be essential. And then the additions of Clarkson and Yabusele to fit the culture and also to provide a respite for our guys for our guys who start and played like 44 minutes a game last year is absolutely monumental and critical to continue to push that agenda forward. The next thing that we need to talk about, Orlando. Orlando got our guy Desmond Bane. Paolo Banchero and Franz Wagner got somebody who can shoot from the outside. We do not have to wait on Jet Howard anymore. We do not have to wait on that dude. Because Desmond Bane is here. Here is a volume 3-point assassin. He will shoot over 40%. He will also love that he will be playing with Franz Wagner and also Paolo Banchero. Jalen Suggs is an absolute beast on the defensive end of the ball, point of attack defender, and also great rebounder. And his improved 3-point shooting leaves me all fuzzy inside. Okay? Suggs is a tone setter. Bane is an off-ball sniper that punishes rotations when if you're late, if you hesitate for 1 second, that ball is going up. And it's going to be cash money. There's still no proven crunch time option beyond Paolo Banchero. That's all changed. All changed. Desmond Bane is going to be that guy. Okay? You don't have to worry. If Franz's shot doesn't get better, Desmond Bane will shoot that ball. And that takes care of the mistake that you made with Kentavious Caldwell-Pope. I also look for Desmond Bane's usage to go down in crunch time a little bit. I think Wagner, I think Desmond Bane, I think our guy Suggs will help him if we can keep them all healthy. Remember, we had oblique issues all over the place last year in Orlando. Hopefully those are gone. Bane as a 3-point and also spacer is a perfect fit to what Paulo wants to do because he's trying to probe inside and then kick it out to his shooters. And if Desmond Bane is out there, he's going to get a lot of open looks. So it's going to be great. Now the concern is this. Banchero and also Franz Wagner are still young. Right? They're still on that young side. They haven't gone through a bunch of playoffs like crucibles as far as that's concerned. And I think what happens with that is that you still got to build up those scar tissue type of memories. So then it kind of insulates you once you're there and you've been there a couple times and you go, okay, I know what this is all about now. You know what I'm saying? It takes a while for that to happen. We all can't be Oklahoma City. Okay, we just all can't be that. But when you talk about Suggs, Wagner, you talk about the switchability if, and I'll say this again, if Jonathan Isaac is healthy. I will say this until the day I probably die, because Jonathan Isaac has never been healthy. What are you going to get from Wendell Carter Jr. this year? That's another guy who was hurt last year. The things that you will know about this team. This is a high character team. They have a ton of buy-in on the defensive end. Our guy, listen, Jamal Mosley is a great coach. I love this dude. I love what he's brought to the Orlando Magic. Super unselfish play. Great defensive scrappy situation. And they played in games that they shouldn't have been in because of their defense. Now they're going to have another scoring option on their team that is going to help them kind of open up the floor a little bit. This should help both Paolo Banchero and Franz Wagner to break out a little bit this year. And I'm going to tell you right now, if the 6'11" and 6'10" dudes break out this year, we might be looking at OKC East. Okay? Because that's a different level of playmaking. That's a different level of seeing the floor, court vision, and all of that. And then again, we talk about the defensive versatility. Desmond Bane is no scrub on the defensive end. He's not like the great lockdown defender, but he's a good team defender. Our guy Suggs is a absolute lockdown defender, point of attack dude. Paolo Banchero plays defense. Franz Wagner is an MFer on defense. And if you can get anything out of that center position whatsoever, you're going to be all right. And then we haven't even talked about Anthony Black and some of the guys on the bench. Orlando is in a good spot. They still have a ton of picks left. No, they don't. They have 4 picks that went to Memphis. But they still got young players to if they need to jettison off like Anthony Black, he would have a lot of desire around the league. And you would be able to kind of recoup some of the picks that you lost in the Memphis trade to get Desmond Bane. But you had to get Desmond Bane. You had to. If you didn't, you would have another season where you'd be twiddling your thumbs trying to say, how is Paolo Banchero getting in the paint? Because he would not be able to get in the paint because they're going to stack it. What keeps me up at night about the Orlando Magic is really simple. Do we have enough shot creation? I would love another shooter. Can you get me one more? Shot making in the playoff is essential at crunch time. And having Desmond Bane out there will help you. Having another guy out there that you can absolutely count on would be completely beneficial. How does this young group handle the playoff adversity? Will someone step up as a closer to help out Paolo Banchero? I think you have a lot of candidates. We talked about Desmond Bane. We talked about our guy Suggs. He's a certified G. Franz Wagner is the guy. That's the real answer. And I'm going to say it just like this. A lot of people might not know this. You might know this. But will the real Slim Shady please stand up? And I'm talking about Franz Wagner. You kind of skated around the outskirts a little bit, my boy. And I'm saying this to you because you have such an extreme talent level. You have great handles. We love your passing. We love your scoring ability. But you're going to have to knock down that three-point shot with a little bit more consistency to help your team get to that next level. So I hope that all of August, whether it's in Germany, whether it's in Orlando, whether it's on Mars, whether it's in Bolivia, whether it's in Antarctica, you are getting up three-point shots. Be behind the three-point line, and I want you to shoot a bunch of three-point shots from all quadrants of the three-point, whether it's the corner, above the break, at the tip of the three-point line, at the top. If it's at the logo, 30 feet, you don't even need to shoot it 30 feet, dog. We need you like right on the line. Okay, just be close to the line, shoot the three, get better at it, because we know it's in your bag. We ain't asking a lot from you, my guy. We asking about 36%. Okay? We asking for league average. None of this like I go 2 months without hitting a three. None of that. That's what keeps me up at night when it comes to Orlando. They are ready to win now. But must be honest, our path depends, the Magic's path depends on Paolo Banchero's next leap, but his next leap is attributed to the leap that Franz Wagner is taking, and also how quickly can you implement Desmond Bane into this. Desmond Bane is a basically an unlock code for this team. He raises the floor of the Orlando Magic. I do not believe this is going to be just a 500 team next year. They will not be 41-41. This is a absolute lock 50 win team. If everybody stays healthy, lock to win 50. Okay? And if you're winning 50, you're in the top end of the East. Their depth, their defensive culture, and their intangibles will keep them in every series and also in the regular season. This group is worth betting on, but keep an eye out on the deadline for that final sniper piece that I've been talking about. I do think there's another move coming, and it's going to come at the trade deadline. Oh, yo, let's go down to the dirty, dirty South. We went down to the happiest place on earth, right? We went to Disney World, right, with Orlando, but now we need to go down to the dirty, dirty South, okay? We need to go down to where Jermaine Dupri hang out. We need to go down to where Ludacris hang out, okay? We need to go down to where 2 Chainz and them hang out. We need to go to Atlanta. Atlanta made a bunch of moves in the offseason, okay? They were super busy. They said, hey, Kristaps Porzingis, you want to be an Atlanta Hawk? For sure. Nickeil Alexander-Walker, we going to steal you from Minnesota. He was like, all right, bet. And then they got Luke Kennard to make shots. He is kind of the yang to Dyson Daniels' yin. Okay? And let's not forget that the chosen one is coming back. Jalen Johnson is going to re-enter the chat come 2025-2026 regular season. And let me tell you something. Atlanta was playing really good ball until Jalen Johnson got hurt. Now you got more pieces around Trae Young and Jalen Johnson. Those are the 2 guys that are going to stir the drink. Dyson Daniels was an absolute anomaly, and he was a complete diamond in the rough. As soon as they washed it, as soon as they polished it up, it shined bright. My man was getting 3 steals a game, which is unheard of. Absolutely unheard of. Dyson Daniels was getting more deflections than a hockey goalie. Okay? He was out there just ping, 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 getting steals left and right. Then, let's not forget, the number 1 overall pick from last year, Ricochet, is still there. He got buckets. He can shoot the ball. He's a 3-and-D guy. And I think that another year under his belt is going to do him good. And also, you're going to take some of the pressure off of him, because with Jalen Johnson back in the building, with Trae Young there, with Nickeil Alexander-Walker also there, and Kristaps Porzingis, you're not looking for Zachary Ricochet to score more than like 12 to 14 points. Can you provide defense? Can you provide rim protection? Can you provide defensive rebounds? Can you do that? If you can do that, man, if you can be 14-7, Atlanta is going to be real nice. The one question still hasn't changed. Trae Young's defense and his ability to be able to play off ball. Now, when Jalen Johnson was there last year, when he was healthy, you started to see it a little bit. It was clunky, but he was doing it. Maybe reluctantly, but he was doing it. And we were happy about that. The other key to this is that Porzingis is always going to be a question mark with his health. He hasn't been able to stay healthy everywhere he's been. So we can just hope and pray. But here's the thing. Porzingis is more of a luxury item because Onyeka Okongwu is going to be manning the middle. But if Porzingis can be if he can be what he was the first year with the Celtics, man, this is going to look great. It's going to be looking real nice. Because you got a point of attack defender like Dyson Daniels there. You got another guy in Jalen Johnson who can be a rim protector or also a help defender as a wing. Zachary Ricochet is the same exact way. Man, they got a lot of depth on this team. They got a lot of answers to the test, so to speak. And here is the Soraya special. The Hawks ranked second in the East in half-court offensive efficiency last year, but they were bottom 3 in defensive effective field goal percentage. You got to be able to stop people. They have insulated Trae Young as much as they possibly can. When you bring in Nickeil Alexander-Walker, you have Dyson Daniels, you have Jalen Johnson back in the fold, healthy, Zachary Ricochet, and then the rim protection of Kristaps Porzingis and also Onyeka Okongwu. This team is ready to go. I'm going to say something a little bit later that might throw some Atlanta people off, but we'll talk about it then. The things that we are looking for. Say what you want. I'm giving the Atlanta front office a bunch of shit over the last couple years. I did not like how they did my guy, Travis Schlenk. But I must say, the win now moves, absolutely pilfering of Nickeil Alexander-Walker in that sign and trade, that was strong. I love that move. And then Luke Kennard being somebody that you don't have to really rely on, but you can say, hey man, second unit, get your shots up, whatever. Kennard is a sniper. You know who could use him? Orlando. I think at some point this is going to be Jalen Johnson's team. I don't know when that happens, but we will see. Now, Trae Young is one of the best lob throwers in the game today, and he's going to have plenty of options, whether it's Jalen Johnson, Onyeka Okongwu, Kristaps Porzingis, doesn't matter. He's going to have a lot of guys to throw that oop to, and it's going to be pretty. It will all depend on health and Trae Young's, I don't know what you want to call it. It would be his, how invigorated would he be on the offensive side and defensive side of the ball. Trae Young can move his feet. He's a quick little dude. We're not asking him to be the greatest defender of all time. What we asking for is you hit your assignments. You try to get over the screen every once in a while. You work hard to recover. And if your guy blow past you and you get the help defense, you better go look for the guy on the perimeter that they're going to swing to, instead of just standing in the middle of the floor and doing absolutely nothing. Trae Young's decision making still oscillates under pressure. His shot selection can be poor. Quinn Snyder will not tolerate that shit this year. He has a team that can win, and he will not be tolerating that. And here's the thing. With Ricochet, Daniels, Newell, Buffkin, and Jalen Johnson, and Nickeil Alexander-Walker, they got enough where if for some reason things get a little crazy, does Trae Young get traded? These are the questions you got to ask yourself now. Because I don't think they bring in all of this and then they going to look directly. If they get off to a rough start and Trae is out there dribbling the ball for 22 seconds and then either throwing a late last second pass or throwing up a ridiculous 35-footer that he has no business throwing up, it's all going to come down on you, Jack. Because this team is loaded. And again, I know we got some questionable health issues with Porzingis and a couple others. If you're not asking Porzingis to play more than 24 minutes, which they have enough depth to provide that situation for him, this team is going to be all right. It will be up to Trae Young and how he wants to fit in. It 100% will be his call. Because here's what I am going to say. The Atlanta Hawks have one of the best offensive ceilings in the East outside of Cleveland or New York, if Porzingis is healthy. They're versatile, they're long, switchable defenders surrounding Trey can cover a lot of the regular season ground. Improved spacing and shooting with guys like Nickeil Alexander-Walker, Kristaps Porzingis, who can hit a three-point shot. Oh, by the way, Jalen Johnson was shooting 38% from three before he left. And again, Zachary Richichet, this is year 2. By the way, he still can't drink legally. He is 20 this year. I don't even think he's 20 right now. He'll be 20 sometime this year. There's a lot going on in Atlanta. I love it. But the things that keep me up at night, Trae Young and his willingness to play defense or try to play defense, and also how much hero ball are we getting from Trae Young this year? Those are my questions. Can Richichet make another leap? Can he be a stable contributor to a ready-made playoff team? I think they have a lot of, like I said, I think they have a lot of answers to the quiz. I really do. They are a defensive playoff caliber team right now. We need to see the specialists do their things, and we need to see what that closing lineup is going to be. But again, I believe it will come down to Trae Young. And this is what the last thing I am going to say. The East is wide open, and Atlanta's aggressiveness is smart. This group is built to take a swing, but their path is still narrow if all rookies aren't playoff ready. Porzingis misses any time whatsoever. Listen, you can miss early, you can't miss late, guy. You can miss early, you can't miss late. They're going to need you for that playoff push. And I'm going to tell you right now, if Trae does not fall in line, that trade deadline, we're going to see some fireworks, and it might have Trae Young's name all over it. So this is a spicy season in Atlanta, no doubt. Okay? This might be like a Real Wives of Atlanta type of situation. Okay? We might see some drama coming down the pike in the ATL. And I'm going to ask Trae Young again. Are you going to be the R&B singer, or are you going to be the three-point assassin that we know you can be? Are you going to be that lob-throwing Trae Young that we saw absolutely decimate the Philadelphia 76ers 3 years ago? Which one is it going to be, my man? Because you can't live off that playoff glory for too much longer. The shine has rubbed off, and they got a new toy in town, which is named Jalen Johnson. And they're a lot more excited about him and want to build around him. And the internal development, especially with him, surrounding him, is what they are looking to do. So if you get out of line for 1 second, my guy, you might be somewhere else. Just food for thought. But that is our program for today. I would like to thank Soraya for all her support. I would like to thank the rest of the staff for all of their support. Man, thank you for holding it down for us, making me look smart, because I am dumb without y'all. We also would like to thank the audience for what they do, because again, we talked about it. We talked about some of the new countries that have popped up, the growing numbers that we're seeing. And again, I say this with humility. We don't have a budget for advertising. So when I see numbers and growth and new countries pop up and new cities in the United States of America, and we see Canada growing and what have you, that is because of you. That is because you have listened to the podcast and went, you know what? Let me tell somebody about this podcast. I'm really enjoying this. And again, we humbly say thank you so much. We do this twice a week for you, Tuesday and Friday. Feel Good Friday is coming to an end. We want you to have a great weekend, and we'll be back on Tuesday. But before we get out of here, the best part of you is you. Make sure that the people that surround you are supportive, understanding people that are cherishing you, that are just kind of like just lifting you to victory every day, because you're getting after it every single day. Now, if you got people like that in your life, make sure that you appreciate them. Acknowledge what they are doing for you. Say, hey man, really appreciate what you're doing. Thank you so much. It means so much to me. Send them a text. Go out to have a Jamba Juice. Get a coffee. Go have some lunch. Whatever the case may be. Throw a card out there to somebody. Little FaceTime action. Maybe just a little quick text. Hey, just thinking about you. Hope everything is well with you today, whatever the case may be. Because if we're doing that for one another, we're sharing those type of experiences with one another, this is a better world. So with that, we up out of here. Enjoy the rest of your Friday. Deuces, ooses, and we'll see you on this podcast on Tuesday. Late.